Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're doing a whiteboard style breakdown of a massive issue, why legal teams constantly suffer from miscommunication, and how we can actually treat it as a measurable project risk. Look, we all know communication is important, right? But today, we're not talking about soft skills. We're looking at the actual operational toll it takes when it breaks down, and more importantly, the frameworks you can use to fix it for good. Okay, let's dive right in. Take a look at this classic, highly relatable forward email from a partner to an associate. Need this today, please prioritize. I mean, it seems simple enough on the surface, doesn't it? But think about what actually happens next. The associate on the receiving end reads urgency, criticism, and maybe a little anxiety into those four little words. She totally rearranges her day, works late into the evening, fueled entirely by sheer panic, and ultimately delivers a memo she isn't even fully confident in. And then the partner opens it the next morning, frowns, and says, "Well, this isn't what I asked for." And this brilliantly illustrates the core problem we're talking about. No one here was incompetent or lazy. Both of these professionals were working exceptionally hard, in totally good faith. But because there's this massive gap in how they process information, the associate works late in a panic, delivers the wrong memo, and ultimately the matter pays the price. The partner meant efficiency, but the associate, she just felt anxiety. To solve this kind of system failure, our explainer today is going to walk through a structured roadmap. 1. The hidden cost. 2. Why teams break down. 3. Decoding with DISC. 4. Matching channels. 5. The communication charter. And finally, 6. Managing the risk. Let's get into it. Section 1. The hidden cost. Let's look at those invisible tolls. The real danger here is that these miscommunications, they do not show up on a budget report. You're never going to see a line item for misunderstanding an email. Instead, they compound into severe operational friction. It's honestly like a hidden leak in your firm's plumbing. You end up with demotivated associates who feel like they literally can't win, frustrated partners who feel unsupported, and delayed deliverables. Over time, this slowly, quietly drains your firm's profitability and really erodes trust with your clients. It's a massive, invisible drain on your team's energy. Moving on to Section 2. Why legal teams break down. Let's talk about these uniquely vulnerable environments. Legal work operates under these anvil-like conditions that make communication failure almost inevitable. You've got relentless time pressure, highly emotionally charged matters, and very rigid hierarchical structures. But here is the real kicker. You know that stereotype where you ask a lawyer a simple question and get a 10-page memo in response? Well, internally, it is the exact opposite. Lawyers are trained for exact legal drafting, which creates this deep irony where an internal email marked urgent leaves the receiver totally guessing. Does it mean urgent by noon or urgent by tomorrow? And because junior staff are often way too intimidated to ask for clarity, they almost always gets wrong. Legal precision absolutely comes at the cost of interpersonal clarity. So the absolutely crucial point to remember here is that this isn't a lack of competence. The people on your team are highly educated, brilliant professionals. It is a systemic gap, and that requires an intentional, structured approach to how your team operates. You literally cannot just hope people will communicate better. You have to actively build a system that enables it. Which brings us to Section 3, decoding behavior with DISC. We're going to be mapping behaviors. Rather than labeling people as good or bad communicators, the extended DISC framework strips all that judgment away. It takes these invisible behavioral tendencies and makes them totally visible. It really helps you understand how different members of your team naturally receive information, how they prefer to make decisions, and most importantly, how they react when the pressure is turned all the way up. When we break this down, it's actually like a giant puzzle coming together. If you're dealing with a high D, dominant lawyer, they thrive in urgent crises. Their catchphrase is, "Let's decide and move." To reach them, just lead with a conclusion and give options. They aren't hostile, they're just super efficient. High I's are influential relationship builders. They want to get buy-in, so give them space to talk through ideas. High S, your steady professionals, they absolutely hate sudden changes. Give them context and plenty of notice. And finally, High C, conscientious lawyers, these are your detail masters who just want to get it right. They need data and time to analyze. Adapting to these profiles stops you from taking brief instructions personally and gets you communicating efficiently. All right, Section 4, matching channels to conversations. It's all about choosing the right medium. Deliberate channel selection is absolutely critical here, because using the wrong medium will totally undermine the best intentions. Think about it. A sensitive client instruction delivered by email? almost definitely going to be misinterpreted. A quick clarification slowed to a crawl in a text thread? Agonizing. So use email strictly for documentation and formal updates. Use video calls for complex collaboration, like structuring a transaction. A phone call is perfect for fast problem solving when a decision needs to happen in the next 15 minutes. And in person? That is strictly reserved for sensitive discussions like performance reviews. Remembering this matrix proves that investing in a 30-minute video call will often save you 4 hours of exhausting email back and forth. This brings us to a golden rule of legal project management. If you ever find yourself writing a lengthy email just to explain what you meant in a previous email, stop and pick up the phone. It's an incredibly simple rule, but it immediately halts the cycle of misinterpretation when the stakes are high. Now for Section 5, building your communication charter. This is your internal contract. Think of this as the ultimate internal contract for your project. It's a simple, explicit agreement established at the very beginning of a new matter. It directly solves the vagueness of that little forward email we talked about at the start by defining exactly how the team will talk to each other and to the client. And a communication charter doesn't need to be some massive, intimidating document. At its core, you just need to answer these 5 questions up front. 1. Who communicates directly with the client and in what format? 2. How will the team communicate internally about progress? 3. What's the exact escalation path when a deadline is at risk? 4. How often on the check-ins? And 5, which is honestly often the most powerful one, what does the team agree not to do? By explicitly agreeing on what to avoid, like say, no scope decisions via text message, you eliminate the friction that creates those costly delays. Finally, Section 6, treating communication as a project risk, focusing on measurable outcomes. Look, communication is not a soft skill. It is a hard, project management competency with real, measurable outcomes. In the ILPM framework, which is brilliantly facilitated for the African context by award-winning attorney Nicolene Showman-Liu, miscommunication is treated exactly as it should be. It's a manageable project risk that you can identify, plan for, and completely mitigate. So, my final question for you today is this. Are you ready to stop treating miscommunication as inevitable and start treating it as a solvable project risk? That is the provocative thought I want to leave you with. If you're ready to actually build a communication competent team, eliminate all that daily friction, and improve your client relationships, you can learn more and claim your $1,000 discount by visiting pocketadvisor.co.za/legal-project-management-course. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and here's to clear, much more effective teamwork.